Hello, guys. My name is Miguel Garcia. Today I'm going to speak to you about a philosopher who goes by the name of Thomas Paine. Thomas Paine was an English born but American philosopher, revolutionary, and political activist. Thomas Paine wrote a series of pamphlets that inspired the colonists to break away from English rule. But these series of pamphlets expressed Thomas's view on not only society and the government, but the English monarchy. I'm going to start with on page 19 of the pamphlet Common Sense. Thomas states, society is produced by our wants and government by our wickedness. The former promotes our happiness positively by uniting our affections, the latter negatively by restricting our vices. The one encourages intercourse, the other creates distinction. Society in every state is a blessing, but government, even in its best state, is a necessary evil, in its worst state, an intolerable one. What Thomas believed was that government is bad no matter what, and that we were better off with no government. That society was great and everything. We didn't need ruling classes. We didn't need a government, and that's what Thomas mentions there. On page 24 of Common Sense, he also states, as a man who's attached to a prostitute is unfitted to choose or judge of a wife, so any prepossession in favor of a rotten constitution of government will disable us from discerning a good one. So a lot of words there, a lot of rhetoric. But what Thomas is basically saying is, as a man who is cheating on his wife, who's having sex with a prostitute, uh, is unable to determine whether he loves this prostitute or loves his wife, we are unable to determine whether we like our government or not, or believe that our government is good or bad. That we are unable to determine what is a good government because the only examples that have been put towards us have been uh, bad. On page 20, so to wrap up Thomas's view on government, he felt that we were better off without it, and that government is impossible to tell. That we at that time were unable to tell whether a government was good or bad. On page 25, uh, on page 25, he states, of Common Sense, he states, male and female are the distinctions of nations, good and bad, the distinctions of heaven. But how a race of man can come into the world so exalted above the rest and distinguished like some new species is worth inquiring into, and whether they are the means of happiness or of misery to mankind. So, Thomas did not like the English monarchy. He felt outraged. He felt bamboozled that how could we say, you're a king, you're better than all of us. Uh, he felt that we should not be able to make that distinction. He felt that the English monarchy was worst in every way possible. Uh, at page 30, in page 31, he offers the most possible plea which have ever been offered in favor of hereditary succession is that it preserves a nation from civil war. In the same following, he follows that by saying that the whole history of England disowns the fact that ever since England was established, there have been, including the Revolution, 8 civil wars and 19 rebellions. So he felt that not only should we investigate whether kings and queens are the way we should govern our society, but that he proposed the fact that England's monarchy was evil. That because of England's monarchy, we've had too much death. We have too much conflict. On page 57, I'm going to show you this picture where with the quote where we have it in our power to begin the world over again. Thomas Paine states that in Common Sense, what it means, as the picture shows, it's the colonist's flag. What Thomas was saying, and this goes again back to the corruption of government and how government is bad, is that we need a good government. That the American colonies are a good government. They are the way out. They are the way to anew. That they do not need to rely on England. They do not need to rely on the English. That they, the colonists, the American colonies, have the power to change the world. They have the power to be better than England. As you can see, this helped inspire the colonies. Uh, on page 57 of Common Sense, he also states the custom of all courts is against us and will be so until by an independence we take rank with other nations. So, what Thomas is saying in this quote is that the American colonies will be continued to be oppressed by Britain. And the only way England and the rest of the world will be able to acknowledge that the colonists are independent, that the colonists are worth something, is if they seek independence from Britain. Uh, so to wrap it up, I want to say thank you for listening to me, and that Thomas's Paine was very influential. He inspired American colonists. He showed his views. He expressed his views on politics and the monarchy at the time, which at that time, doing so will result in your death. He did manage to escape death a couple times, but the sad thing is when he eventually did die, he was kind of forgotten by his common man. He was kind of forgotten uh, by his peers. They didn't really acknowledge him. I also want to say that I'm going to show you a meme. I'm not really quite found the memes, but when I was looking up images for Thomas Paine for this assignment, I found this, and it says how to topple an empire, and it has Squidward dressed as King George III and SpongeBob as Thomas Paine. And I found this hilarious because basically he was right. England was fighting two revolutionaries at the time. They were fighting the French and the Americans, and Thomas Paine was in both revolutions. He was the one of only a few, if not the only philosopher who was part of both revolutions. So again, thank you for your time and have a nice day.